1988. It is the 110th year of college football for the Michigan Wolverines. Season number 20 for head coach Bo Schembechler. It is a year in which the Wolverines will average 30 points a game while holding the opposition to just 14. The Maize and Blue will outscore their competitors 361 to 167 and become Schembechler's 5th highest scoring Michigan team. They will lead the league in rushing, in total defense, in kickoff and punt returns, and they will set a team record for the fewest turnovers in a season. In the Big Ten, they will finish undefeated at 7-0-1 and earn the outright conference championship.
On the run deep, Colasar open, leaps up, he's got it! It's a touchdown! John Colasar!
They will go on to victory in the Rose Bowl, finishing 9-2-1 overall to be ranked 4th in the national poll.
Gives the horn going short side right, dives over the top, touchdown! He got over! He was
But this 1988 team will be remembered for more than numbers. It will be remembered for its spirit, its courage, and an attitude that said, never complain. As the 1988 season begins, conference championships and Rose Bowl victories are little more than dreams. Dreams clouded by questions. And the leading question concerns the Wolverine leader, head coach Bo Schembechler. In December of 1987, Schembechler had entered the hospital for a routine physical. As it turned out, it was anything but routine.
There was a blood clot occurring in the hospital, and they determined at that time that they had to go in and operate immediately. And my answer to that was, if that's the way it's got to be, sedate me now, because I don't want to think about this one. So it was sort of done on an emergency basis. And so therefore, you know, there wasn't much thought about, you know, who's going to coach the team or anything like that. It was just bang, bang, and I was in the operating room.
With the surgery over and successful, the next question centered on Bo's coaching career.
I anticipated it'd be over, and it was music to my ears when the doctor came in and said the operation was a success and that you can continue coaching. I didn't expect that, and that was right after the operation. I was still really in the recovery room and not able to speak. And so that was kind of exciting.
As Schembechler returns full-time to his coaching duties, one player remarks that Bo's got that spit and fire in it. And though this is Schembechler's 20th season as head coach, he will playfully tell reporters that 1988 is my first year of coaching. Now Schembechler must answer a key question. Who will be quarterback? Demetrius Brown, the previous year's starter, was returning. But after watching backup quarterback Michael Taylor excel in spring practice, Schembechler knew that Taylor was his man. There were two dominant reasons.
Well, first of all, impressed with his grasp of the game, his knowledge of the game, his ability to get you in the right play, to know what the circumstances are. He was just a very, very heady quarterback. The second reason was that he had improved immensely from the year before in his ability to get the ball to the receivers. And that combination dictated to us that he was the guy we should go with. And so we chose to go with him.
Though the rest of the squad looked solid, to Schembechler it wasn't that cut and dry.
We really didn't have an established running back with Jamie Morris graduated. We had some places in the offensive line. We were playing Skrepnik for the first time at the strong tackle position. The defense, you know, had been a question mark the year before, and really was not a great defense in '87. And that was a problem. And then, of course, we had lost Monty Robbins, our punter, and Mike Gillette was going to have to do both the place kicking and the punting. So there were a lot of question marks going into that '88 season.
And now it begins, the battle for the Big Ten championship and a berth in the Rose Bowl. Michigan opens on the road, their opponent, Notre Dame. Under the lights and on national television, many of the preseason's questions will receive their first true answer. Can quarterback Michael Taylor face the pressure and prevail? Can running back Tony Bowles step into the shoes of Michigan's all-time leading rusher, Jamie Morris? And in what will become a key issue, can one man, Mike Gillette, play effectively as both punter and place kicker? Early signs are discouraging. The Irish bolt to a 13-0 lead. The big play, a first quarter 81-yard punt return for a touchdown by Ricky White. But now some answers come. It begins with Bowles. In the second quarter, he fields the Notre Dame kickoff and speeds 59 yards to the Irish 38. Now Michael Taylor engineers a drive that ends with a Leroy Hoard touchdown.
Here's the handoff. Leroy Hoard out of the wishbone, dives over the top. Touchdown, Michigan!
Michigan continues their comeback and takes a 17-16 lead late in the game. But in the closing seconds, the Irish move to within field goal range. From 26 yards out, Reggie Ho splits the upright. Notre Dame 19, Michigan 17. But the final chance will belong to Michigan and Mike Gillette. With 3 seconds on the clock, he stands just 48 yards from victory.
Here's the snap, placed down, the kick on the way by Gillette. High enough, long enough, toward the right upright. No good! Wide to the right, no good! Notre Dame wins, 19-17.
At the time, no one knows that Notre Dame will go on to become the national champion. But even if that eventuality could have been predicted, it would not change the bitter taste of defeat for Michigan. Yet despite this disappointment, this frustration, questions have been answered.
Two things were on my mind. One was, how good was Notre Dame? That was important. I thought they were a pretty good team, much more speed than they had in the past. The second thing was, I didn't think we played well. We made a lot of mistakes, and in my judgment, we didn't look very good at Notre Dame. And yet, when the game was over, we're right on the brink of winning it. Had we hit the last-minute field goal, we'd have won the game.
Down 0-1 in the season, the next battle pits the Maize and Blue against a powerhouse, defending national champion Miami of Florida. Michigan is the underdog, but playing at home before friendly crowds and, once again, on national television. The Wolverines are determined to prove their valor. It is said that desire creates power, and on this day, it appears that no one has more desire than the young men of the Maize and Blue. They shock Miami. They electrify the crowd. They roar to a commanding lead.
And here is a fake to Bowles, and Taylor with a great fake lobs it into the back of the end zone to Jeff Brown for a touchdown. And up to Colasar on the post corner in the end zone. Touchdown, Michigan! Back to throw. Four-man rush. He's got time. Fires to Terry. He goes up. Tipped in the air off his hands and intercepted by Murray again.
Michael Taylor is having a career day, much different than in the opener.
Notre Dame was the first time we'd seen him as a starting quarterback playing the whole game. And you never just throw everything out there, so we were probably a little bit more cautious with him down there than we were against Miami. Against Miami, we turned him loose and let him get into the plays and do what was necessary to move the ball, and he did.
In the fourth quarter, Taylor does it again.
And Taylor's going to loft it up in the end zone to Callaway. Great move, touchdown!
Michigan leads 30-14, and with just 7 minutes to play, the fans begin the victory celebration. But the Hurricanes are planning their own party. They turn to their hurry-up offense, and with commando-like precision, they call a halt to the celebration. They score a touchdown. Throughout the stands, there is a sense of uneasiness. But on Miami's next possession, this uneasiness will become terror. Hurricane quarterback Steve Walsh connects with Cleveland Gary, and Gary takes off. Michigan 30, Miami 28. Now the terror becomes shock, astonishment. Miami flawlessly executes an onside kick, takes possession, and moves to within field goal range. With just seconds remaining, the Hurricanes' Carlos Huerta hits the field goal. Michigan has lost 31-30. For the first time, a Schembechler-coached Michigan team has opened a season at 0-2. The only sound in the Michigan locker room is the sound of shouting. Schembechler, counting on the character and attitude of his players, makes a move to strengthen their will.
At that point in the season, I think, is where we really had what you would call a gut check, if you want. I'll never forget, I was coming from the locker room to the press conference in Chrysler Arena. And I said to myself, you know, we said at the beginning of the season that this would be a great attitude team. That was one of our goals. And we defined our attitude as being we would have nobody on our team complain. I couldn't honestly say after those first 2 games that I had any problems with anybody. As far as hustling, wanting to do it, attitude, I think our team was crushed. For us to lose 2 big ball games like that, who was to know that they were 1 and 2 in the nation at the end of the year? I mean, you didn't know that at the time. You just know you lost 2 big ball games. And so when I came into the press conference, as you may recall, I told the press that that this team is 0-2, but at the end of the season, we will have won the Big Ten championship, and it'll be Michigan playing somebody in the Rose Bowl on January 2nd. And that's the way it turned out. I think if I made any smart move in the season, that was it, because I'm sure the players picked up the paper and they read, well, look, the old man is still with us in spite of losing 2 games. And there's nobody in the world despises to lose more than I do. And yet I could recognize that we got beat by 2 good teams, and we only came up a little bit short, and that we were probably as good as those 2 ball clubs, but on the day we played them, we didn't win. And But that, to me, was the key to the season, because we reached the depths when we lost those first 2 games. And it took a little while to come back. As you know, we weren't a great ball club against Wake Forest the following week.
Schembechler knows that players who believe in their coach will believe in themselves. The following week, the depth of this belief is tested as Michigan faces the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest. The explosive offense witnessed in the Miami game is nowhere to be seen this day. Intensity is absent. Emotions seem low. The first quarter is scoreless, and Gillette misses 2 field goals. Many begin to wonder if 2 heartbreaking losses can sap a team's will to win. In the second quarter, Wake Forest takes a 3-0 lead. But answering immediately, Michigan scores, and then late in the first half, they deal the deciding hand. Trip Wellborn intercepts. 6 plays later, Tony Bowles gets the call.
And Taylor gives on a draw to Bowles. He cuts to his left, got open field, 25. Gets a good downfield block, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Tony Bowles!
Michigan 14, Wake Forest 3. This is all the defense needs. They hold the Deacons to just 104 yards on the ground and score a safety to give Michigan a 19-9 win.
Possible for you to come off a loss to Notre Dame and to Miami, Florida, and say, let's go get the Demon Deacons. I mean, that just doesn't, that's not Michigan. I mean, we just went out and did a workmanlike job to win the game.
The win is good, but if better is possible, good is unacceptable. Schembechler tells the press, I don't think our defense is aggressive enough. He knows that to win the Big Ten title, improvement is vital. In the conference opener versus the Wisconsin Badgers, Michigan looks for that improvement. They see it immediately. It is the Wolverines' first play from scrimmage. Bowles gets the handoff.
He gets the handoff and comes up the middle to a big seam, cuts to his left, and Tony Bowles is off to the races. The 20, the 10, it's a touchdown, 55 yards for Tony Bowles on Michigan's first offensive play.
But this first touchdown is just a preview for Tony Bowles.
Runs option, tosses it back after a fake to Horde. Bowles wide open at the left corner, cuts upfield and goes in for a touchdown. And Michigan leads it 20-0 on Tony Bowles' second touchdown of the afternoon. Bowles in the eye, and the handoff. Bowles going off the right side, splits the seam, up over the 25-30. He's going to outrun everybody again, the 40, the 50, up the sideline, being chased by Fletcher. Outruns him. He's gone. Tony Bowles has done it again. 81 yards for a touchdown, his third of the ball game, and Michigan now leads it by a score of 34-0.
Bowles racks up 179 yards in just 10 carries, and even though he leaves the game early, Michigan scores 42 unanswered points in the first half. The Badgers' defense collapses and Michigan wins 62-14, prompting Badger coach Don Morton to remark, "It seems like we've been on that field for a couple of days." This impressive win evens the Wolverines' record at 2-2. The fans celebrate, but one man isn't reaching for the champagne just yet.
Anytime you win a game big, I can't even tell you exactly the score, but I think it hit 60 anyway. And anytime you win a game by a score like that, you know, you first of all, you didn't want to run it up on him, and you used every player you got, and yet it happened. And it doesn't really tell you whether you're good or whether they're that bad. Those are tough to evaluate. Wake Forest and Wisconsin were kind of tough to evaluate. And so we were anxious to go into the fifth game where we knew it would be a much greater challenge.
That challenge is defending conference champion Michigan State. While the Wolverines have improved, some key areas aren't up to standard. One major concern is the kicking game. Senior Mike Gillette is handling both punting and place kicking. Previously, he'd worked only the placement duty. The dual role has been tough, giving him problems in the early part of the season.
We anticipated there might be a little drop-off in his place kicking if we let him punt too. And it did. It dropped off a little bit, but he's still the greatest kicker we've ever had here.
Against Michigan State, Gillette's abilities will be tested. The tenacious Spartan defense demands that Michigan's kicking game be prepared, accurate, error-free. As expected, the contest is a tough, bruising defensive struggle. Two emotionally charged teams determined to prevail. Gillette is kicking with authority. His punts are long, and in the first quarter, he gives Michigan a 3-0 lead with a 30-yard field goal. The battle continues. And now, late in the first half, the Wolverines break the defensive pressure. Tony Bowles scores from the 5, and at halftime, Michigan has a precarious 10-0 lead. In a tight game, one mistake can make the difference. Early in the third quarter, Michigan makes that mistake.
Taylor drops the throw. Firing right sideline. Oh, he's going right to Miller. Miller up the sideline. In the clear at the 30, the 20. Taylor over trying to hem him in at the 15. Can't. And finally, John Miller bumps out of bounds by Gene Dingman at the Michigan 5-yard line.
The interception invokes the biting memory of last year when Michigan, yielding 7 interceptions, went down in defeat. This year will be different. Michigan's defense stiffened.
Spartans line up with a 3 tight end. Look, they got Mandarich at fullback in the backfield, but they hand it to Ezor, and he is stopped by Mike Teeter. He lost the yard, back on the 6. 2 tight ends on that side next to him. Ezor going over the top in the middle, and Brent White's got him. He'll get a yard back to the 5, and that's about it. To throw McAllister. Standing in, he's going to run up the middle. He's to the 5, he's to the 1-yard line, and he is stopped there.
The Spartans realize just a field goal, and the Wolverines keep a 7-point edge. But Michigan is struggling. It is the Spartans who have the momentum, a momentum that takes charge in the third quarter. Michigan State blocks Gillette's punt and returns it for a touchdown. But the touchdown never makes it onto the scoreboard. Michigan State is penalized for offside. The touchdown is called back. Michigan takes possession, still leading by 7. And now, suddenly, the momentum changes. Michigan gets a first down, but can't score. Stopped at the Spartan 40, Gillette comes on to kick. The blocked punt still vivid in his mind. But it is said that chance favors the prepared mind. And now Gillette finds his chance, for he is prepared.
Here's 10-3, Michigan over Michigan State, 37 seconds left in the third. And here's a fake punt. Gillette's going to keep it around the left side. He's got blockers in front, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown! Mike Gillette on the fake punt as the Spartans again came with a big rush. And Gillette took off around left end and ran 40 yards for a touchdown to give Michigan a 16-3 lead.
If any questions existed concerning Mike Gillette's ability to measure up, all were answered this Saturday afternoon in a 40-yard blaze of glory.
They'd come close on a punt before, and it just seemed the right time to go for it. Circumstances were right. Unfortunately, we didn't get the message to the referee that we were going to fake a punt. And the referee stepped up, and Mike ran right into him, and I thought he almost knocked Mike down. And fortunately, he kept his balance, and then once he was outside, when you come with a 10-man rush, and you get to the outside, and you've got some of your people filtering out in front of him, then it's just a matter, you had 2 or 3 guys to block their safety. And then he ran all the way for the touchdown.
The fake punt and touchdown break the Spartans, and Michigan wins 17-3.
Y'all did a great job. It was a great win. And, geez, what can I say? You know, we look forward to this game. We wanted to win it badly, and you all might got up a little too tight for it. I don't know. But I thought you played well. You won a game, and that's Michigan. I want you to know, each and every one of them, I'm extremely proud. I want to caution you about this, though. We can't go around celebrating because, as you know, they put this schedule. We got the 3 top contenders back-to-back. Yes, ma'am. This is just one of them. Next week we go against Iowa. In Iowa City next week, and then the following week back here against Indiana. Well, we'll save all of our real celebrating until such time as we win this Big Ten championship.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Michigan now stands in perfect position for a run at the Big Ten title. They are in first place, undefeated in the conference. But their mission is far from complete, and all attention now turns toward Iowa City, where the Hawkeyes, eager for conflict, await the Maize and Blue. The game will be tough enough, but the schedule makes it even tougher.
It was difficult. It always has been when the Iowa game comes immediately after the Michigan State game, and it's played in Iowa City. That's a tough road. And so we went into the Iowa game figuring it was going to be a tough battle, and it was. The significant thing about the Iowa game was that they were always talking about it being an injured team. Their great tight end Cook hadn't played, and this guy hadn't played, and that guy hadn't played. Well, all of a sudden, all these guys were back.
Iowa is desperate to keep their Rose Bowl hopes alive. They play their very best against the visiting Wolverine. Early penalties and a fumble at their own 8-yard line hurt the Wolverines. The Hawkeyes convert this turnover into a TD and build a 17-3 lead late in the second quarter. But a team whose attitude says no one complains offers no excuses. Instead, they offer a comeback. It begins just before the half. Michigan fights back. But the Iowa fans, buoyed by their team's lead and wanting no part of a Wolverine comeback, become part of the warfare. They chant. They roar, louder and louder. It is deafening. Michigan can't hear their signals and audibles at the line of scrimmage. Taylor looks to the referee for relief. None comes. What he gets instead is a penalty.
Oh, the penalty has been called. Delay a game against Michigan.
Well, Bo Schembechler has just ripped his headset off, and he's walking out on the field.
He is about 5 yards onto the field, and they've called delay a game against Michigan.
I haven't seen Bo this mad in years. Well, he took his hat off and was saying something to John Nealon, and the referee threw his flag. And Bo has just been hit for 15 yards for unsportsmanlike conduct, and Michigan is going to be back on the 37-yard line.
Well, that happened, Jim, and he penalized me, as you know, when I got upset with him and called him a bad name. And he penalized me 15 yards after he penalized us 5 yards for delay of game because Mike hadn't put his hands under center. Truth of the matter is that we scored on that possession just before the half. So it didn't really ruin us, but it's always tough. You will always find in a stadium like that where there is no track and the crowd is right down on top of you, that if that is a loud crowd, there are people on your team that are not going to hear the play and the cadence, and you're going to have some problems. And we always have that on the road.
Fighting the crowd, penalties, and the Hawkeyes defense, Michigan goes 76 yards in 15 plays.
Taylor back to throw. Blitz coming. He's going to take off. Quarterback draw. He is in. Touchdown, Michael Taylor.
The Hawkeyes now lead by just 7 with 30 minutes to play. And Michigan knows there is but one way to finally stop the blares, the shrieks, the thundering yells. Offense. Michael Taylor and John Colasar take the assignment.
3rd down, 13 at the Iowa 24. Crowd chanting as Taylor drops the throw. Safety blitz coming. He gets rid of it. Near side, Colasar, touchdown! What a throw by Michael Taylor.
At 17-all, the Wolverines' comeback is rolling toward victory. The fourth quarter is a defensive struggle. But now as time becomes the issue, Michigan makes a move. Inside 2 minutes to play, Michigan stands at the Iowa 1. 2nd down, goal to go. Just 3 feet from victory. Tracy Williams carries.
Taylor calls signals under center. John Vitale turns, gives Tracy Williams right side. He's hit from behind and kept out of the end zone. And he fumbled the ball, or did he? He did. And Iowa recovered on the 1-yard line.
In that particular case, you're going to give the ball where the defense dictates. And that play was not called in the huddle. The formation was called, the type of play that we're going to run, but not the direction. The defense is going to dictate that. And on the basis of the alignment, Mike chose to go to the right side, which was correct. It's just that the ball carrier that was carrying the ball to the right side dropped the ball. And that's what happened. If it had occurred later on in the season, Leroy Horde had the ball.
This ball game has ended in a 17-17 tie here at Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City.
The dissatisfaction is evident. J.J. Grant remarks that if a tie is supposed to be like kissing your sister, this is like kissing your dog. The Wolverine locker room is filled with frustration, but in no way is this a group that will allow frustration to destroy goals.
I think it's going to be a motivational factor for us because we know that we played an atrocious first half and we came back against a very, very good football team. We have Indiana at home, and we play very well at home, and it's nationally televised. So Indiana's going to have to come in and buckle it down because there's a bunch of upset Wolverines going to be playing on Saturday.
You know, we were not in very good shape, and the tie wasn't good for us. And but we hadn't lost yet in the conference. But still, the tie was not good. And we just, you know, we had to recoup and start all over again and try to make a run at this thing. That was the 6th game of the year. We said at that time we have to win 5 in a row. There can be no ties. There can be no losses. It's got to be 5 wins or we're not going to win this championship. And so that's what we set about to do.
With the tie, Indiana and Illinois, still unbeaten in the conference, share first place. Michigan is a half game back. Iowa and Purdue are another half game behind. The next few weeks will tell the championship story, and the Wolverines and Indiana are the first chapter, for they are about to do battle. With the Big Ten title hanging in the balance, Michigan lines up against Indiana. And today, the Wolverines unveil a new weapon in their attack. His name is Horde. On Michigan's first possession, Horde breaks loose and goes 54 yards for a touchdown.
had seen him in practice break tackles a lot. And I'd always admonished the defense because they were doing a lousy job of tackling. And what I found out was there are a lot of other defenses that had a tough time tackling Leroy Hoard. And that's what happened in the Indiana game, because he ran through their safety man twice.
Despite Hoard's heroics in the first half, it is still a tight 7-6 Michigan lead at intermission. Opening the second half, the Michigan defense turns the tight game around. The Hoosiers had come into the game with the league's leading rusher, number 32 Anthony Thompson, and the league's top scoring offense. Apparently, the Wolverines hadn't read the press clipping. They shut the Hoosiers down. With the defense in control, the offense goes to work. They go deep in the playbook and surprise the Hoosiers. Bowles takes the pitch out from Taylor going left. He hands off to McMurtry for the reverse. The Hoosier defenders call out reverse, but McMurtry stops and fires 46 yards to an all-alone Chris Calloway in the end zone. Combined with an earlier Gillette field goal, the touchdown gives Michigan a 17-6 lead. Michigan adds another 7 on a 2-yard run by Leroy Hoard, and it looks like the Big Ten lead will belong to the Wolverines. Michigan 24, Indiana 6. But Hoard has held back one final burst of energy. On the first drive of the fourth quarter, he releases it.
Two tight ends again. Walker left, Brown right out of the option. Look, the handoff. Hoard on the quick hitter. 40, 35, pulls away from 1, 2 man. He's gone. Leroy Hoard has scored his second 54-yard touchdown. And Michigan leads 30-6 with 12:52.
Hoard finishes with 128 yards and 3 touchdowns on just 7 carries. And Michigan downs the Hoosiers 31-6.
Anybody and win, but we've got to cut out our mistakes. We've got to quit the mistakes on offense. We got our defense. I'm so proud of that defense. That was one hell of a defense. So, you take care of yourself, you think football, you go to school, and you get ready to win the Big Ten championship and go to the Rose Bowl.
The Wolverines, now in sole possession of first place, turn toward the Northwestern Wildcats. The Wildcats take the field. They're emotional, charged up, ready. In contrast, the Wolverines appear businesslike. Some begin to wonder if the past 3 weeks of all-out warfare have somehow diminished the Maize and Blue, dampened their fervor for combat. The first series of downs is anxiously awaited. On the Wildcats' opening drive, Trip Wellborn intercepts. The Wolverines take the ball. 3 plays later, Tony Bowles scores. Michigan 7, Northwestern 0. It looks like this game is already decided, but in college football, anything can happen. The Wolverines are sluggish. Michigan has managed a 17-0 lead, but it should be more, and Bo lets his Wolverines know about it at the half.
We weren't doing a very good job in there, and they weren't moving the ball a lot, but they moved it some. As a matter of fact, the tailback got over 100 yards on us, which was surprising. But anyway, I think I just asked them to play a little better. And so the second half, they came out, and I think we pretty much dominated the game.
Schembechler's message gets through, and in the second half, so do the Wolverines. On the opening drive, Bowles takes it in. The route is on.
There's the punt by Sutter. Meantime, it's a short one. Grabbed by Colazar, is 39. Running to his right. They got the picket line set up. He's to the 50, 45, the 40. Colazar up the sideline. 25, 20. Chased from behind and knocked out of bounds inside the 10-yard line, inside the 5, at the 1-yard line by... And it's an option play, and the toss back to Bowles. He's trying to turn the corner, and he will, and he goes in for his 3rd touchdown. Here's the option look, and a toss on an end around to Colazar. He's got clear sailing up the right sideline, going in for the touchdown. What a play by the...
Scoring 35 points in 30 minutes, the Wolverines dominate the Wildcats. With 153 yards, Tony Bowles becomes the 10th player in Michigan history to rush for 1,000 yards in a season. Michigan rolls over Northwestern 52-7. The Wolverine warship now sets its sights on Minnesota, and Mother Nature sets her sights on Ann Arbor.
It was a rainy, cold, miserable day. And like the day, everything went wrong for us.
It all starts going wrong on Michigan's first possession. Starting quarterback Michael Taylor tosses downfield and is hit as he falls to the turf. His collarbone is broken. Taylor is out for the game and out for the season. Now the former starter, Demetrius Brown, must fill the gap. Many still haunted by Brown's 16-interception performance in 1987 are concerned, but Schembechler is confident.
No, I had no problems with that. We had worked hard on not throwing interceptions. Almost all his passing was with a wet ball. So we were kind of conservative with him, and I don't think that he was any great, you know, he put on any great performance, but he methodically cleaned up the game, and we won.
The game plan worked. Brown completes 7 of 13 passes for 115 yards and a touchdown. There are no interceptions. Tony Bowles carries 32 times for 184 yards. But most of the scoring belongs to Mike Gillette. He sets a Michigan record, connecting on 5 field goals. Michigan takes it 22-7. The Little Brown Jug stays in Ann Arbor, and the Wolverines move another step closer to the Big Ten title and Rose Bowl. Now just one team stands between Michigan and the Big Ten title and Rose Bowl, Illinois. The Fighting Illini have upset Indiana. They plan the same fate for Michigan. This is now a championship game, and that is a surprise to most, including Schembechler.
After the season, I talked to John Makovic, the Illinois coach, about that, and I said, you know, I saw a few excerpts of your game against Washington State in the opener, and I predicted you would never win a game. And I said, he did the greatest job of coaching. Well, he was our coach of the year in the conference, and rightly so. He did a fantastic job. And he had, what he did, he had the great quarterback, the great passing quarterback, and he knows how to use him. He's had experience in professional football. He knew how to use them. And even though he didn't have a great offensive line up there, he knew how to protect and how to get it done. He had a great back that could run and catch, and he had an excellent defense. And he parlayed that into coming into Ann Arbor with a chance to win the championship and go to the Rose Bowl.
In this championship confrontation, the Wolverines are also confronted with injuries. Schembechler tells his troops that whoever steps in must perform. But there is little doubt that the injuries have hurt Michigan. The game for the Big Ten title and a trip to Pasadena begin. Michigan takes the kickoff, but is stopped at the 45. They line up to punt. And then Schembechler shows what he thinks of his team.
It's a fake. The snap going to the up back, and Michigan is going to get a first down and more. Inside the 25 is Eric Anderson. Took the short snap to the
The drive continues. Brown hits Callaway, and Michigan goes on top 7-0. Now the defensive and offensive lines take over. Schembechler trims the offense and goes to ball control, power football.
A power off tackle right. Ford cuts upfield, puts a shoulder down. Touchdown, Michigan! Out of the wishbone option look, handoff, punch straight ahead, puts his shoulder down. Touchdown, Michigan! He gets the snap from Vitale, turns, gives Tracy Williams left side. He dives over the top, is stalled, and then with second effort, Williams goes in. Touchdown, Michigan! The handoff Ford going to his right. He stopped at the goal line and then fights in for a touchdown. Leroy Hoard.
When it's over, the Wolverines have shattered the Illini's plan for an upset. Michigan 38, Illinois 9. Michigan is going to the Rose Bowl. They are conference champions. But in the jubilant locker room, Schembechler reminds his players that their job in the Big Ten is not yet done.
And we've won the championship, a share of the championship, gentlemen. An outright championship. If you recall our goals, there's one other thing we got to do. Let's don't ever forget that.
The job will not be finished, not until Ohio State falls. In the first half, Michigan dominates the Buckeyes like never before. They explode for 313 yards of offense while holding Ohio State to just 116. Touchdowns and 2 field goals, including a record-breaking 56-yarder by Gillette as the clock runs down, put the Wolverines ahead 20-0 at the half. It looks like a rout. And now most fans believe that in just 30 minutes, Michigan will be the outright Big Ten champion.
First of all, I tried to guard against that because I felt Ohio State moved the ball well against us in the first half. I thought we were fortunate to keep them off the scoreboard. And when the second half started and they came out and moved right away, that was some indication to me. And then we ended up, in my judgment, totally discombobulated and an embarrassing performance defensively. And did everything defensively we could do to throw the game. And fortunately, we were lucky enough that we made enough big plays offensively to win the game.
The big plays come from Leroy Hoard. He scores from 8 yards out to erase an Ohio State lead.
Out of the eye, handoff Ford coming up the middle. Big hole, and Leroy goes in for a touchdown. Leroy Hoard right up the middle for 8 yards, and with 4:20 left to go, Michigan has regained the lead 26-24.
And in the closing minute, with Ohio State back on top, John Colasar single-handedly pulls the game out with the finest clutch performance of his career.
O'Moro to kick it away now. Hangs it high with the wind. Colasar waits for it. 3 yards deep in the end zone. He's coming out. Heading toward his right. Angling over the 15. A team at the 20. Goes outside. He breaks in the clear. The 40, 45, 50. And Colasar is finally hauled down by the kicker O'Moro at the Ohio State 41. A 62-yard run back by John Colasar. to throw. Brown steps up, gets inside the pressure. Now throwing on the run deep. Kolesar open, reached up, he got it! It's a touchdown! John Kolesar!
Michigan 34, Ohio State 31. Michigan is the outright Big Ten champion.
What great resolve to come back time and again in a hostile stadium with all the odds against us. We came back and we won the game, and we have done several things here today, man. Let's don't forget it. Yeah! The objective to beat Ohio State, we accomplished. Yeah! Number 2, there is no Cohen for the... And number 3, damn proud of all of you.
All eyes turn west, to Pasadena, to the Rose Bowl, and to the opponent, Southern Cal. The odds makers say Michigan is the underdog, but Schembechler knows something the odds makers have overlooked.
We were a decided underdog, but when we studied the Southern Cal team and matched our team up against them, which I think you do a lot more in football today, because you match them up with what you think you can do against the opponent. And when we matched up with them, we matched up pretty well. They had the type of defense that was truly outstanding, but there were some things we could do. They had an offense that was a 30-point-plus offense, over 400 and some yards per game. But we had a chance. We had a chance to stop them if we played well. And because we were a small, quick defensive team, they were a big, if anything, a little cumbersome at their tackle positions. They were very big. And that gave us a little bit of an advantage in their quickness up front. And I think that helped us some, particularly in the second half.
In the first half, Michigan plays like an underdog. Their execution is faulty. They drop passes, miss tackles, misfire on easy field goals. Meanwhile, behind quarterback Rodney Peake, the Trojans take a 14-3 lead at the half. There is talk of a Michigan Rose Bowl jinx, but Schembechler is not talking jinx. He's talking comeback.
My pitch was, we didn't play that badly. We could move the ball on this team. We demonstrated we could do it. If you remember, Jim, we missed a couple of field goals. We had a chance to get more points on the board. And our defense had to play better, particularly against the run. We had to do a better job against the run. If we play better against the run, we got a chance to win. We're going to receive the second half kickoff. We must take the ball down and score. We must score. That was fundamental.
Michigan's mission is clear. Score. On the first possession, score. Kolesar makes the big play.
Kolesar split to the right, Callaway left. There's a reverse. Kolesar running to his left in big trouble. Is going to be hit by Sweeney. Somehow he pulls away. He's up to the 40, 45. He's to the 50. John Kolesar with a great run inside the Southern Cal 45 to the 42. He turned an 8-yard loss into a 16-yard gain.
Inspired now, the Wolverines move closer. 3 plays later, Demetrius Brown completes the mission.
Brown back to throw. Same pattern. He fires, and this time Callaway got it for a touchdown.
It is time for intensity. The defense is ready. The Trojans are not. The Wolverines' defense does the job. Now the time has come for Michigan to achieve their final goal. And Leroy Hoard steps front and center.
Michigan going with the wishbone again. And they're running it at Ryan. Ford trying to bounce outside, get to the corner. He does. Touchdown! Michigan takes the lead on the first play of the fourth quarter. 15-14 and the 1-yard run by Leroy Hoard.
A 2-point conversion fail. Michigan leads by 1. But this margin is too close, and Hoard will make sure it doesn't stay that way. Late in the fourth quarter, big number 33 goes where there is no path and leaves a trail.
Backs in the eye. Here's a draw play and a handoff to Hoard going right. Breaks the tackle. Fights over the 35 into the open 40. Cuts back to the middle. He may go all the way down to the 40. 35, 30. Leroy Hoard 20, 15. Dropped from behind and hauled down by Chris Hale at the 9-yard line. And that's 61 yards.
Moments later, Michigan is on the 2-yard line with 4 chances to take it in. 3 times they fail. Fourth down. Still a 1-point lead. Fans yell from the stands, kick, go for 3. Schembechler has other plans. And again, Leroy Hoard is his man.
The ball inside the 1, 4th and goal to go. Under 2 minutes left in the game. Michigan leads by 1. Demetrius Brown calling signal. Turns, gives to Hoard going short side right. Dives over the top. Touchdown! He got over! He was made at the goal line, but Leroy Hoard got in.
Gillette gets the point after. Michigan 22, USC 14. Now, in the closing minutes, a desperate Southern Cal fights to tie it. But Rodney Peete runs into a determined Michigan defender, John Milligan.
Peete out of the shotgun, drops the throw, being chased back there, eludes one man. Rolling to his right, stops, throws back across the grain, intercepted by Milligan. That'll seal it for Michigan. John Milligan goes down at the 44 with the 5th turnover by Southern Cal this afternoon. It comes with 50 seconds to go. And this one is going into the victory column for Bo Schembechler and the Michigan Wolverines.
They thought we were an underdog, but they didn't know us. Yeah. Right. We knew we matched up well, and we knew we could beat them if we played good football. Yeah. And at half, we were not discouraged. No. We went back and got them, and what can I say? I take great pride in leading you once again. Last greatest fight song ever written. 1, 2, you know what? Hail to the victors, Ryan! Hail to the conquering heroes! Hail to Michigan, the leaders and best! Hail to the victors, Ryan! Hail to the conquering
They had set their mission early. They had suffered through disappointment and defeat, but they never complained. They went on to victory. These were the 1988 Michigan Wolverines, the champions of the West.
Maryland-Navy rivalry was an intense one. You know, in-state rivals, pretty evenly matched at that time. The intensity of the game from Navy's point of view was, it's good to beat Army, but beating Maryland is a must.
Players hated Navy, Navy hated Maryland, their fans hated Maryland, and there was always something going on that we would try to paint their goat. College prank type stuff that led to a great rivalry.
Both Maryland and Navy entered that game in 1964 with identical lackluster records of 2-5. Just 1 year earlier, the Naval Academy had finished their season ranked #2 nationally, and quarterback Roger Staubach won the Heisman Trophy. As for the Terrapins, their program was on the rise, but they had not beaten the Midshipmen since 1952.
It was a heck of a game, and Maryland was, I mean, they were just obsessed with trying to beat us, and they didn't from the year before. And it was kind of one of those games you like to be in, actually. I mean, and we were going back and forth.
In the first half, Staubach struggled against the Terrapin defense that dished out several late hits and flagrant fouls. The worst offender was number 31, Maryland linebacker Jerry Fishman.
It was just an intense game, and Fishman was an intense player. And of course, Roger Staubach was a great player. So, hey, Fishman was focusing on him and delivered some pretty tough tackles.
I think they made more yardage off my penalties than they did on their own. But yeah, there were a lot of penalties, and that's what led to one of the incidents. Because I got a couple of penalties I really didn't deserve.
One particular hit sent the Navy fans into a frenzy, booing Fishman for twisting receiver Skip Orr's already injured knee near the Navy sidelines. Fishman responded by flipping off the Naval Brigade.
And they started to boo and chant, and I think they were even throwing their hats at me or something, but so I gave them the Fishman salute.
I was absolutely shocked. This is 40 years ago now. People didn't do things like that. There was, sportsmanship was a very hallowed principle. And this was something that was so out of place that I mean, it boggled the mind. It shocked everybody who was there.
I heard that he was trying to just tell the middies that Maryland was #1. He got his finger mixed up. That's the story I heard about it. He had a hard time with his fingers.
By the fourth quarter, Maryland was leading 21-8, but Staubach threw 2 touchdowns to put Navy ahead by 1. But with 1 minute left, Kenny Ambrusco ran back a kickoff 102 yards to beat the Middies 28-22. Instead of celebrating with his teammates, Fishman opted to salute the Naval Brigade once again.
And while everybody else was rolling around in the end zone, I ran over to the midshipmen and expressed my adulation and just gave him another salute. And certainly no one even mentioned it to me right after the game until Coach Harden, the Navy coach, made a comment that I should be barred from football for what I did.
Fishman was never disciplined, but his behavior sent shockwaves through the state. And after their meeting in 1965, the Navy-Maryland game was never played again.
I don't know if that's the reason they quit playing each other long term. I mean, I can only speak to the short term, but I know that the Navy people felt that they could find games where they could expect a certain level of decorum, and they didn't see that in the Maryland game in '64.
Navy blames the lack of any further games on me, but I blame it on Navy's inability to win football games. They didn't want to get beat by an in-state rival, Maryland, who was so close, when they could get beat by Notre Dame or Southern California, which they were doing on a regular basis.
Now, 4 decades removed from that infamous game, the only 2 Division I-A football schools in the state of Maryland will finally meet again.
I just can't believe we quit playing them. I mean, we should have wanted to play them every year and get even with them. You know, I mean, that's I've never understood why we gave up on that deal. I mean, you had a couple episodes but you know, that's life.
I never had any regrets, and people remembered me for that. I mean, I had a Heisman Trophy winner. Nobody remembers him in the game. We have a guy that ran an unbelievable kickoff return back 102 yards, and no one remembers him. All they remember is my middle finger, and I live with it, and it's a nice memory.